Here is another well-known, classic, widely used perfumery accord, and it is the amber accord. Amber itself doesn't really have a smell, or at least it doesn't smell like this. But this accord is what perfumers imagine an amber would smell like. Just like the Grosjean accord, it is very simple to make. It has just 3 materials for the classic skeleton, and you most likely have them. In this video I will show you 2 versions. I'll show you the classic version, which is just the 3 materials, and a slightly modified one that you can try as well. So on the screen you can see skeleton / minimal. It has 3 materials: Benzoin Resinoid, Labdanum, and Vanillin. More importantly than the amount used is the actual materials, because it's exactly the combination of Benzoin Resinoid, Labdanum, and Vanillin that creates the amber smell. Depending on what you like or don't like, you can increase or decrease the amounts. For example, you can have more Labdanum than Benzoin Resinoid, or the other way around. If you like the warmth and the honey-like feeling of Benzoin Resinoid, you could use 50 parts of benzoin and only 20 of Labdanum. Or if you want it to be very sweet and very creamy and milky, you can use Vanillin more than the others. So it really depends on what you like, but the most important thing is that you do use these 3 materials. If you watched my previous video about odor fatigue, these are the accords I talked about. And here, the first one I made, it is not the classic amber accord because it has also patchouli and a musk. If you want the classic, the most widely known version, try this one. Try the first one, just benzoin, labdanum, and vanillin. What does it smell like? I will smell the cap. I love this smell because I love benzoin resinoid. But it's not just the warmth of benzoin. Labdanum gives it a leathery, and to me it feels like a cold, almost herbal medicinal feeling. And vanillin sweetens it all up. Because we're using a lot of base materials, a lot of long-lasting materials like benzoin, labdanum, vanillin, it will last a long time, so you can use it in your perfume to increase longevity. Now this other accord, I call it Oriental because that's how I found it. And if you want to try it, I think it's just as good as the first one. It's just slightly different. It is more mature. It feels perhaps more feminine because of the patchouli. I did use Clearwood instead of the patchouli crude, which if you use the regular patchouli, you will have a different result. I've not tried this with the regular patchouli because I feel like, for my taste, the regular patchouli is too rich and too dirty. Clearwood still gives a wet, earthy scent, but it's not as juicy, or it's kind of hard to explain, but to me it feels like it has less heart. It's more cold and reserved. And the musk that I used here is Muscenone because it is a animalic musk. It is not sweet. It is not like galaxolide. I used this one because it contrasts with the sweetness of the core materials, the benzoin and the vanillin and labdanum. And if you compare these side by side, that is what you feel like. The traditional minimal amber accord feels more approachable, feels sweeter, feels more cozy. And then this Oriental, which is the one with patchouli and musk, it feels sharper. It feels like it has some kind of uniqueness to it. Again, I love them both, but the way I would use them is if I want something more minimal, if my perfume is more transparent, or if I simply want something softer, I would go with the 3 material version, the skeleton version, the classical one. But if I want something that cuts more, something that's more earthy, has more character, has more maturity and feels more sophisticated, I'll go with the Oriental one. And again, just like I mentioned about the Grosjean accord, you can adjust these materials in the ratios that you want. You can add more materials, you can take something away. Accords are meant to be played with. They're not rigid structures that you have to follow every time in exact proportions. What I'm learning is that accords are more like guidelines. They help you figure out the direction you want to go in, but then when you go in that direction, you can choose where you stop or what detours you want to take. I could take this in any direction. For example, I could create another amber accord and add a rosy material, some kind of florals, which would take it into a more floral direction. Or I could add more spices and make this a spicy amber. It's really up to you, but if you want to start somewhere, start with the base, start with a very minimal version, see what you like, and go from there.